Welcome back to Compliance Clips with your wonderful and elaborate co-hosts, Rick Morgan from the shores
Hey.
of Dunville and moi, John Farquhar from just north of Lake Erie, Long Point region. Anyway, so Rick and I are here today, and we're going to touch on continuation of the series that we've been recently doing with regards to driver recognition. We've had a number of great guests, some great speakers on board talking about some of the stuff. So we're going to kind of wrap that up today, and we're going to have a banter between the two of us and talk about some of the experiences we've had and a lot of success stories that we've seen for small motor carrier operations. Well, why don't you kick us off? Start us off. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done already in this short series, and
Sure.
some of the great speakers we've had.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks, John. We started off with Jane Jazauri from Best Fleets to Drive For, and we kind of explored how companies that are recognized and winners in her programs, regardless of whether they're small or large carriers, attract drivers and have better performance. And she introduced us to Michael Robinson from CAT, who was our last speaker, who had quite an incredible performance and turnaround, financial improvements with respect to what was going on at CAT. And as we see, in looking at those carriers, I mean, they're well known, they're highly visible, but they're also very successful. And what we see in the carriers that win these programs, whether it's Best Fleets to Drive For or Trucking Human Resources Canada's top fleets, is they introduce programs that recognize the drivers, that engage their employees, and that drives significant improvements across all departments in their organization. And you see that they do well, and this is one of the key factors in what they do, that being recognition. So we're going to explore a little bit today of our experience in recognition and our experience working with carriers and helping them improve their results through improving and developing their recognition and their engagement with their employees.
Yes. Well, they pay attention to that aspect alone, and it has a positive forward movement on the culture of the organization. And I think we need to make it very clear, it does not matter the size of your operation.
No,
You could be
absolutely not.
5 trucks to 5,000 trucks.
So yeah, before we started recording, I was sharing the story with you. I think I got my first IHSA pin in about 1985, 86. I was still kind of finishing off my university, and I'd been driving for a moving company.
Yep.
And the fact that I got that recognition for going a whole year without having any accidents or any tickets or violations was like, this is really nice. And when I got into managing companies later on in my career, at about the same time that Jane and Mark were launching Best Fleets, I started using the IHSA program.
Yeah. Yep.
And I enrolled every single driver in the program. Sure. And for every year that the driver met the criteria of the program, they got a pin, they got a wallet card, and they got a personal thank you from us.
Sure. Yes.
And that started to drive the engagement, and it started to drive the recognition. And there was 2 times in my career where I had the opportunity to nominate a driver for the Fleet Safety Council Driver of the Year. One of the things that I noticed that the 2 different times I nominated my drivers was the morale of the entire organization.
Yes.
Went up.
Yep.
Because they, even though they weren't personally winning the award, they worked for an organization that was excelling in one area, and everyone likes to be associated with success.
Sure. Sure.
It made much easier for me to attract talent.
Yes.
Because people heard about it. People
Yep.
saw it in the paper. I mean, at the one organization I worked at in Stratford, when the driver won the award, he was actually retiring that year, he was turning 65.
Mhm.
The owner reached out to the local newspaper, and there was a big front page spread on the
Mhm.
guy
Mhm.
that he had won
Mhm.
this award.
Yeah.
And in the local community, there was enormous
Yep.
feedback that came to the
Yep.
organization. And if you look at a company that is looking to hire a transportation company, if they see that on the front page of the local newspaper or whatever the media is, that this company had the driver of the year,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
know what, they're thinking, hey, I
Yeah.
should be reaching out looking to this company for
Yes.
service providers. If
Yep.
there's drivers who are looking for somewhere to go work,
Yep.
they're like, hey, this company's got the driver of the year, and they
Yeah.
recognized it and they
Yep.
promoted it, and he got all kinds of awards and
Mhm.
material items for that
Mhm.
performance.
Mhm.
We're starting to attract drivers.
Yep. Yep.
So your morale goes up, your performance
Yep.
goes up, your
Yep.
retention goes up, your
Yep.
hiring costs go down, your accident rates go down. And
Yep.
we throw our minds back now when we spoke with Michael,
Mhm.
large organization, multiple companies there,
Mhm.
but we asked him to quantify what the returns were for his program.
Yep.
They exceeded $1 million a
Yeah.
year.
Yep.
And while a lot of the smaller carriers that you and I spend a lot of our time with can't even relate to that because it's such a large number, you
Yep.
can relate to percentage.
Yes.
58% improved turnover, I
Yep.
believe it was, right?
Yep. Yep. Lower their
Um,
turnover. Yep.
and a 30% reduction in crashes.
Yeah. And a lot of that equated to the fact with that in play, they could reduce their advertising looking for drivers
Hmm.
because
Yep.
they weren't needing as many drivers. And on top of that, they now have a lineup of drivers because of word of mouth from drivers going, hey, here's the place to work. These guys appreciate you. They look after you. They recognize what it is you do and reward you for it at the same time. So now all of a sudden, I don't need to be recruiting as much. I don't need to hire somebody or do advertising like crazy. So that money can go back into the coffers. And well, you know what? That helps feed and fund my rewards program. Or you know what? Salary increases for my drivers.
And you don't need to create your whole program,
No,
right? If you
no.
don't have a program, the
Yep.
IHSA's Safe Driver program, they
Yep.
also have a Safe
Yep.
Worker program.
Yep.
It's already there.
Yep.
And then, of course, you've got Best Fleets and Top Fleets.
Yes.
Both of
Yep.
those programs, it's
Yep.
there,
Yeah.
right? Here,
It's free
here it is.
information.
And they share with you
Yep.
what the best of the best are
Yep.
doing.
What is
So
working?
every year you
Yep.
can say, oh, look at that. This is
Yeah.
what these guys are doing, and this is what it's doing for them.
And what's that all going to have a positive effect on? Crashes, violations, damage to the vehicles, better maintenance
And
programs.
and
And
what
mhm.
industry do you work in?
The insurance industry, I
Does
think. Yeah.
any
So
of
what?
that
Well,
kind of
it could
have a trickle down
possibly,
effect?
yeah, I could see better premiums maybe. My loss numbers are going to be down. My deductibles, maybe I'm not paying out as many deductibles now because I'm having less losses. So again, that's dollars on the bottom line.
And I'll just take one little kind of brief moment here to share one of my success stories.
This is a good one, I think. That's the one I'm
with
thinking of.
with my client. I was brought in to assist a client because the MTO was coming in to do an audit.
Hmm.
I was going up on the Thursday and they were getting audited on the following Tuesday. So
Hmm.
we didn't really have a lot of time.
Yep.
But in that time, it was a pretty intense 48 hours where I dove in and
Hmm.
just analyzed everything, looked at everything, spoke with the owners, got
Hmm.
the feedback. Um, Actually had a couple of conversations with a couple of the more problematic drivers.
Hmm.
And, it was one of those ones where, to coin a phrase, the lunatics were running the asylums. We we
Hmm.
we had a lot of very disgruntled drivers who were angry, and one guy in particular he was just one of those ones that you shudder to think about. He wouldn't show up to work. He wouldn't call in. He went to the wrong place to load one day, and
Hmm.
it was like 5 hours in the wrong direction.
Hmm.
Having and obviously we were getting audited, so we had all kinds of roadside issues.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and the morale of the place was poor. And one of the issues that my client said is, I'm competing with a mine up the road that pays
Mm-hmm.
between $100,000 and $200,000 a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If and you're making 70,
Mm-hmm.
80,000 driving a truck.
Sure.
And my comment was, the person who wants to drive a truck
Mm-hmm.
is not interested in going down in the mine.
Correct.
So you're not competing for employment.
Right.
You're competing with other carriers.
Sure.
So my comment to them was, okay, let's start off with working on speeding
Mm-hmm.
and possibly putting together some of the fuel savings to the drivers in their
Mm-hmm.
safety bonus program. Now, they had a safety bonus program, but you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Every driver was getting the full bonus every quarter, no matter what happened. So it was no longer a safety bonus; it was just
Right.
part of the expectation. So we had to
Yes.
restructure that so that
Right.
you actually earned the bonus by your performance.
Right. Right.
There was the point at about week 3 in the speeding program where one of our most problematic drivers came in and said, "I'm not doing this. I ain't being no Manitoulin driver."
Uh-huh.
And my contact says, that's really funny because Manitoulin is such a big carrier around here,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I want to be.
Yes.
I want to be that
Yes.
safe driving company.
I want that recognition that we
So
are a safe operating company. Yep.
the negative feedback from the negative driver actually
Yep.
hardened the resolve of the organization to move forward with
Awesome.
our recommendations.
Right.
At about 8 or 9 months later, I phone them up because they've been calling me less and less and
Yep.
less, and I'm saying, "Do
Yep.
you still love me?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they said,
Really.
"Oh, not only do
Yeah.
we love you, we don't hardly need you anymore because
Uh-huh.
you know what? We've put into place almost everything that you've recommended.
Yep.
We've had a turnover of our driving force. All of the
Yep.
bad ones are gone. And
Sweet.
now we have a lineup of drivers waiting to come
Wow.
work for us.
Nice.
Our turnover has basically gone to nil.
Yep.
Our accidents have gone to nil, and I can tell you the accident have gone to nil because I'm actually still associated on their motive feedback, and I
Right.
used to get an accident notification about every 3 weeks. I haven't had one in almost a year.
Wow. Nice.
And they didn't spend any more money,
Yep.
right? They didn't
Not a dime.
change. No, they're not a dime. The only thing they did is they started talking with their drivers. They
Yep.
started doing some recognition.
Yep.
We implemented a lot of the programs I do, and they had a Christmas party last year.
Yep.
Every driver from their logistics division attended the Christmas party.
Yep.
In the years before, they used to get 1, maybe 2.
Wow. Big
Cost them
difference.
nothing.
Big
Cost them nothing.
difference. Yep.
Saved them
Well,
thousands. And that goes back to our telematics series and
Yep.
all the things that you can do with
Exactly.
telematics. And you
Yep.
start creating your scorecards.
Yep.
And you
Yep.
start recognizing your best performers.
Yep.
And you start developing and coaching those
Yep.
who aren't performing, because to what you like to say is, and I 100% agree, very few
Mhm.
drivers want to be a bad driver. They just
No.
don't know how to be a good
A
driver.
good one. Yep. Yep. Well, and the bonus part is every trucking company right now in North America is having to use an electronic logging device.
Yep.
In that logging device is all kinds of telematics data that can be pulled, and just work with your provider. And most of them now have a scorecard of some sort.
Absolutely.
So this whole
automated.
program of managing it
there.
is now costing you squat because you're
And it's all
already
there.
getting it. It's already there, right?
It's there.
So
You don't have to develop it. You don't.
No.
All you
And-
have to do is look at it and use it as an opportunity
Yep.
for development and training.
Yeah. And if I'm going to advise anybody on what to do, a lot of times the problem falls into place that I'm looking at my telematics data and there's just way too much data. I don't know where to start. Keep it simple. Speeding, harsh brake. Those 2 items alone will have a huge impact on your organization. You already mentioned slow the speeding down, fuel economy goes up, right? So slow the speed down, I'll also improve my loss ratios.
Yep. Distracted
So-
driving,
Yep, exactly.
hours of
So-
service, fatigue.
So some
It's all right
really,
there.
really easy programs that can be put into play to help build control. And with that control, you can build your recognition program.
So I guess we're running out of time. Okay, one
Yep.
one
Go.
takeaway for our audience before we go from you. One takeaway. Well, if they had to change one thing to make an improvement, what would it be?
One thing that they had to make improvement, you know what? I think a lot of it is just how you treat your people, whether it be a driver, operations staff. I just did a drivers meeting here recently. I've been doing a bunch of them this month. And one of the things that was interesting is they were recognizing their drivers, but I don't know that they were recognizing their operational staff. And I thought, you know what, we need to recognize the operations people as well. So everybody in your organization needs to feel wanted. And I think that's a big plus. It's just how you treat your people. That's your first step into a recognition program. Recognize them.
All right. Well, this is our last podcast for 2024.
Woohoo! What a year it's been.
It's been a long and winding road.
It has.
And I'm looking forward to some pretty interesting stuff in 2025. So
Yep.
take a moment to say to all of our audience, wishing you a very great Christmas season.
Yep. Happy
and
holidays.
Happy holidays. May we see you in the new year. And if you've got something you want John and Rick to talk about, send
Please.
us a note.
Yep.
Let us know. We'll get some heavy hitters to come in and talk.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber, well, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Tell us you like us. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you all in the new year in 2025.
Compliance Clips is a joint production of Summit Risk Solutions and Links Consulting. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next release. Take care.